What's up everybody, Brett here, and I'm back in a 2v2 on the Dead Shore in Total War Warhammer 2's multiplayer online battling system. Okay, I'm going to be playing as Avalorn today, rocking Lady Alarielle herself, and my ally is going to be the Wood Elves. So I decided, when I saw that my ally was going to be the Wood Elves, I wanted to do something a bit thematic, and I went with a bit of a treekin, tree-man build. And let's go ahead and slow-mo this right out of the gate. So, guys, that's just the way I like to play. I like to keep it thematic. I don't always play a build that I think is going to win. I'd rather keep it thematic, pick a good build, and then try and win with that. I think that's usually more fun. So my ally went with Durthu, the extra large tree man himself, straight up tree beard with his huge amber sword. I love him. I love playing him in campaign as well. He also took a treekin. And he just has a bunch of Eternal Guards with shields in his front line. Two treekins. Glade Guard, one of them has the Starfire shafts, and the other has the Hagbane tip. So a nice mix of armor-piercing fire damage as well as poison. That's something I also like to do. And then a unique pick back here, two groups of Wildwood Rangers. So not a unit you get to see very often, but they're super cool looking. And as of the time that I'm casting this, not playing this, I think they receive a bit of a buff in one of the new patches that's coming out. He also did me the favor, my ally did, of placing a group of Wild Riders here, the non-shielded variant, in the forest here, up and around this little mountain. And that's going to protect me from getting flanked as we advance. Also some War Dancers deployed back here in the forest, presumably to protect them maybe from any sort of ranged harassment. I just have a ton of Spearmen, guys. Ton of High Elf Spearmen, very cost efficient. And they're there to hold the line long enough for our treekin. We can move in here. I love looking at them. So you'll see the differences here between these treekin as opposed to the Wood Elves. They have these really cool glowing kind of teal and white designs. They look great. And check this out. Look how awesome this tree man looks. The kind of, almost said cherry blossom, but it's more like an aging oak kind of in the fall. Lots of gold and pink themed. Rocking a good 20% physical resistance, which also protects it from ranged attacks, which is going to be somewhat relevant this battle. And I do have a back line of archers. Two archers here out on the flanks, very cheap, 475 gold. But in the center here, I decided to bring not only the Sisters of Avalorn, but also the Everqueen's Court Guard. So these are the Regiments of Renown. They have an encouragement aura, which is great for keeping surrounding units fighting if there's no leadership available. They also have the Banner of Avalorn, which is going to increase the recharge rate of my Winds of Magic on Alarielle, who's only mounted on a horse. You definitely want her to have mobility. It's nice to take her on the Eagle, so she can sit up in safety high above the battlefield, but it's not always necessary. I decided to take Arcane Unforging as my offensive spell, as well as Banishment. So I should get one or two good banishments this game. A timely Arcane Unforging can set back someone like Malekith greatly if they're attempting to win the game through spellcasting. Also here, the Staff of Avalorn, which gives tons of Winds of Magic and also reduces any chance of miscasting, which I enjoy, as well as Earthblood. So I'm going to get some good Earthbloods this game, looking to keep myself and my ally alive. He also has a Spellsinger with the Lore of Life, so between the two of us we have tons of healing. And I should not forget also the Star of Avalorn, which you'll see proc more than once this game. You get 2 casts of it, has a pretty decent cooldown, but it does provide in a kind of circular aura a great deal of healing wherever you drop that. And then last but not least is a single Handmaiden of the Everqueen. I love to take them in conjunction with Alarielle. I think it's just super on point with the lore. And they're excellent. They're kind of like a ranged variant of the Noble. They can fight in melee. They do have decent armor piercing as well as anti-large. See here they have a bonus versus large of 35. And they also have a physical resistance of 12, which is pretty cool. And yeah, if you strip them down, they're actually pretty cost effective. And on horseback, they're an excellent, almost like an artillery piece, 180 range. They can shoot way out here. And you can just keep them out of the fight, running around and cackling as you deal damage from afar. But if you need to support Alarielle, she is there to do that. So for my opponents here, frontline Dread Spears, Bleak Swords, probably just going to alternate there. Yeah, so Dread Spears out on the flanks, very nice. Bleak Swords in the center. Good Silver Shields against any type of range shenanigans we might be bringing. If I was them, I would expect a ton of archery, skirmishers like that. And Silver Shields would definitely be something I would be looking to take as well. Kind of the same thing for the Lizardmen. All of their Saurus here, just a ton of Saurus. They all have shields. So they're the Saurus warriors with shields. They've got their clubs ready to fight. And they're going to be very resistant against pretty much everything we have. We don't really have great tools to take them out. Even the treemen who can stand and fight them for a long time, they aren't very effective at killing. Our best bets are honestly these Wildwood Rangers who can carve through them really nice. But there's also a lot of cavalry on the field, so let's go ahead and take a look at that. Let's see, there's two Cold One Knights here mixed in amongst. So it's kind of thematic. Look, you got the raptors, dark elves riding raptors next to giant lizard people. So these are the spear variant, so they are better against large. There's also the two standard ones. So these are just the Dread Knights. Ridiculously good combat stats here, but they can still rampage. So he's going to use them to get up and around this hill and try and engage here, but little does he know we are ready for him. And I'm keeping this mountain to my flank on purpose to ensure that, you know, if I need to defend myself, defend my back line, it's only this tiny little area here that I need to take care of. I am very well protected on my right flank by my ally. And I'm sure, as you already saw, Krokgar is on the battlefield atop Grimlock, his mighty Carnosaur, and he took most of his abilities, it seems. See if we can get him clicked. Swiftness of Itzel makes an explosion, allows him to escape from combat. Deadly Onslaught giving him even more armor piercing as well as weapon damage. Sacred Spawning of Zodal, physical resistance and vigor, as well as his Cold-Blooded, the newly changed Cold-Blooded, which can stop some of his units from rampaging. That may be relevant this game. He also has him supported by a Saurus veteran. Basically, kind of like Grimlock and Krokgar's little cousin here, but still very, very dangerous. And if they're going to support this entire flank here, kind of overloaded, if you will, with some Cold One chariots, which have a range component not nearly as important as its melee stats. Charge bonus of 60. In melee, it can be a pretty devastating chariot piece. They have great combat stats, but they are prone, I should say, to rampaging, and you got to be careful about that. That's one of their dangers, and it's pretty difficult to make them work. So kudos to our opponents for attempting that. And you'll see here I'm moving forward with Alarielle, and that's not for nothing, because I'm about to drop a pretty sick banishment here. Bastiladon with Solar Engine, sitting in this hill. It's a pretty good spot for him. If he moves up here, he should be able to hit really anything on the battlefield, as well as this Stegodon, not the ancient variant. The ancient variant has a much shorter range, kind of a Gatling gun type effect with poison, and this variant has more of a ballista on its back, an excellent 360 range, and it's a mobile artillery piece. From range it'll do a lot of damage, and if you get up close to it, it's pretty brutal as well. So who have we forgotten? We've left out Malekith, the man himself, should I say the Dark Elf himself, and he's kind of mixed in and amongst the units here, but there he is on his extra shiny Velociraptor, as well as his extra shiny armor that he cannot take off. And I love that, just the banishment in the background. But man, if we could just click on him and check out his spell kit. I mean, he took a lot of abilities here. Stand Your Ground, Soul Stealer to sap our HP and give it to him. Blade Wind, a nice AoE spell that can do a lot of damage to clumped up units, as well as Word of Pain. So, I mean, he took like everything. Interesting. As well as Gaze of Malice, a nice little tear-shaped attack. And he's going to be rocking 20% physical resistance. So the battle is joined, guys. These Wild Riders retreated to take up a better position to fight these Cold One Dread Knights. Our Spearmen have engaged the other low-tier infantry of the Dark Elves. And we are giving our healing over here to help with this engagement. We know that this engagement is going to be a bit rough for our ally, considering they're being overloaded. It's a bit of a 2v1. But we're not going to let them stand alone. Our treemen is going to engage in the front line here and start racking up heal. A lot of friendly fire there, but that doesn't actually hurt us Blade Wind going off in our background. Everqueen's Courtyard taking some damage, but I do manage to pull them out before anything too dire happens. Big shots coming in from the solar engine. Could do very well against our treemen, considering it does do fire damage. And we're rampaging the chariots in the background. Star of Avalorn here, going to keep our treemen fighting. I decided to send off one of our treemen to help us secure this flank, aid these wild riders, aid these war dancers, and try and hold them back. And you want to cast it sooner rather than later, that way you're not losing unit models and losing the effectiveness of that healing. Earthblood went down here to keep these units in the pit fight. Our archers, as well as our Sisters of Avalorn, are on overwatch here, trying to help out our spearmen. We're focusing down all the targets that we can that are essentially facing away from us. We don't want them to get the benefit of their shields here. And a nice blade wind there. Kind of goes a little off course, thankfully. Saves us from taking a ton of damage. Our opponents managed to get their Glade Guards here in a kind of nice position to just fire in without any real risk. And it looks like they're focusing now on Krotgar, who's used Cold-Blooded on himself to give himself some leadership, perhaps. Durthu's in the fray. He's only got 8 kills so far, but I think that's because he was standing man-to-man against the Sara's Scar veteran. And while Durthu, with the correct spells being cast, could certainly defeat him, that's not really a fight that I would want to take. You want Durthu in and amongst lots of infantry, then you cast your Sword of Daith, and it just absolutely destroys them. Also spamming lots and lots of Flocks of Doom is also good. Awakening of the Wood there from the Spellsinger, up to 12 kills. Finding nice blobs there. No doubt triggering the Life Bloom effect, the passive healing that goes off map-wide. Another Blade Wind here on my Everqueen's Courtyard, and they're just getting brutalized, but they still have half of their unit models, so not bad. I'm using my Handmaiden of the Everqueen to try and chase down these chariots. It's kind of the exact unit she wants to be fighting. They're not good against her, and she is very good against them. Treekin still holding. The Wild Riders are mostly keeping these cold ones out of my archers, but it's so hard to stop, 3 or 4 chariot units, 4 cavalry units from getting past my front line now that there are gaps that have opened up, and just shutting down my archers. So I'm constantly having to adjust them to keep them in the fight. Malekith here getting in the back line, charging into my Handmaidens, and he should be able to tear them up. On his cold one, he is quite the infantry killer. And a star here going off, another Blade Wind. Lots of magic going down this game. But the Star of Avalorn here, I dropped this on Durthu. I saw he was struggling. He's nowhere near his healing cap, and he was going to be taking damage from the focus fire of the Bastiladon, as well as I figured Krotgar was going to go in on him, or the Sora Scar veteran rather, and he would need all the healing he could get. He has a huge HP pool, so you can get a lot of healing off on him, and he'll soak that for you. The Stegodon here has been able to sit unchallenged. I tried so many times to get my Court Guard and things on him. They can put them in a trash can pretty quickly if you're able to, but there was just too much going on in the front line, too much harassment in my back line. I was not able to get there. Bastiladon here, shooting into the back of these treekin. Perhaps a little bit of friendly fire there on Krotgar, actually. Nearly out of ammunition on both of these units. And while this Sora Scar veteran is attacking one of the Glade Guard, the other is sitting here and firing. So good tactics here from my ally. And the treekin back here, still with 11 models, still fighting. We've managed to nearly break these Dread Knights, and Malekith here is at about 60% health. It's not particularly damaged. I'm using Alarielle to chase off some of these routing units and to try and rally my spearmen. She's not in any great danger. She's super fast. She has healing. And I'm taking advantage of this kind of lull in the combat to regen my Winds of Magic and perhaps get back in here and cast something like an Overcast Earthblood, so that we can take this entire pocket and keep it healthy, keep it fighting. The Lizardmen's infantry is routing. The Dark Elf's infantry is routing. I've finally managed to turn some of my archers over to help focus down the Sora Scar veteran. And we'll see here, yeah, its life is just dipping slower and lower. These Wildwood Rangers were able to stand up to Krotgar, and we're chasing both of them off the field simultaneously. So that's a lot of leadership and a lot of anti-large very fast movers that we're getting off the battlefield. I think that's called Lamentation, and that's a pretty good shot on the Bastiladon. You want to do it from as close a range as possible because it keeps the grouping of the missiles much tighter. But still a very good cast there. It did a little bit of damage. Malekith has been back here, was helping in this fight, but I sent my Handmaiden of the Everqueen. She has an anti-large bonus, and that's going to be great at attacking Malekith. And I honestly don't think my opponent was targeting her until maybe about just right now, which allowed her to get lots of attacks in his back, which bypasses his melee defense. Normally in a 1v1, Malekith, even a damaged Malekith, would just absolutely crush her. But at this point, they're trading pretty evenly. All I have supporting me are a few War Dancers. And if you've never seen those units before, they're pretty cool looking. These dual-wielding Wood Elf women. And they're helping me chop them up. Durthu's still here, giving him lots of healing. My treemen is also still here at near perfect health, smashing the Saurus. Up to 83 kills there, and that's going to be the game. So, nice one. I love the thematics of having Alarielle, who's somewhat kind of blessed in the same way that the Wood Elves are, to be able to commune with nature. Being able to join Durthu with her unique treemen units to be able to take on the dark forces of the Dark Elves. And why Kroq-Gar was helping Malekith, we'll never know. Hopefully aid him after the battle. But, so yeah, I think the Saurus warriors here with shields was an excellent choice. They trade up, they beat down units that are much weaker than them, and with shields they are able to get into melee no problem. I like the Bastiladons with solar engines because they do outrange our archer units, but they also apply fire damage, which is nice. And I love the Stegodons. Personally, I would like to take the ones that have the Skink Chiefs on the back. Take the Skink Chiefs and just give them this mount, and then you've got another source of cold blood. You have even more leadership for your army, and you still have that very mobile, very dangerous artillery piece. Malekith got lots of kills. He cast tons of spells. Our army wasn't really blobbed up at any point, so it was kind of difficult for him to get maximum value. I mean, you cast a Blade Wind on a treekin, it does like 0 damage. You know, you're really looking for big blobs of spearmen and archers to get those types of casts. And the chariots actually did work here. One of them looks like probably picking up chevrons. 128 kills. Kudos and thanks to my ally, though, for using these Wild Riders and these War Dancers as a screen to prevent me from losing my archers early on. That was super helpful, and ultimately one of the factors that helped us win the game. Also, they kept their Wildwood Rangers in reserve until the later stages of the battle, which is something you really have to do. They're an expensive, kind of squishy unit, but they will take down Saurus warriors. They're kind of like a step up from them, but they almost function similarly, except they have better armor piercing, things like that, which isn't super relevant versus the Saurus. But anyway, guys, that was a good battle. Lots of kills on Alarielle. I think I got 2 casts of banishment off this game, and they were both pretty brutal, as well as an arcane unforging on Malekith near the closing portions of the game, and after that he just wasn't able to cast anything. He got off his initial cast, and then that was it. I kind of shut him down. And my archers did work. They took a lot of focus. Not huge numbers, but for a lot of the time they were focused on big targets, chariots, the leadership of the last defenders there. But yeah, good builds from everyone, and it was a super fun game. I hope you enjoyed watching it. Hope you had as much fun watching it as I did playing it. Once again, my name is Brett. My channel is Good Talk Gaming, guys. Feel free to check it out and subscribe if you do like the content. I appreciate it. I'm a small YouTube channel. You know, I'm not making any money off of this. I do this for fun. And I'm just trying to get better at casting. I'm trying to get more knowledgeable about the multiplayer scene. And just as always, have fun and meet new people. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I will see you in the next one. Take care.